If you ever utter the famous words, I know what to do, I just don't do it, then this video is going to be for you. In it, I'm going to walk you through 3 things you can do this week, like even today, that will get you moving, that will get you doing what you know you can do. Because let's just be honest, first things first, it's often not an information problem. There's no lack of information across the world. You've got so much information in the palm of your hands. We all have. It's never information. And sometimes we can kid ourselves off that it is, and we can do more prep and more planning and more stuff, but still, we don't move. We don't do the thing. Now, what is that? So there's 3 pillars for me in any kind of change. If you are not quite where you want to be, or you're trying to achieve something or make something happen, then there's 3 key things we need. Number one, we're probably lacking some new skill sets. What is it practically that I need to be able to do? Number 2 is some mindsets. What do I think about me? What do I believe about the world that could be keeping me stuck? But thirdly, it's a courage thing. Courage to go and act on the things we know we need to do. And so I'm going to break down the 3 key areas you can build some courage, give it a practical thing, not some random stupid challenge, so you can plug them in this week and get them moving forward. So the first one, and I think you can relate to this, is the courage to face some fears. Now, I'm not talking heights, spiders, and whatever you're afraid of. I'm talking the courage to face the things we're avoiding, the uncomfortable stuff. A huge amount of procrastination, in my experience in my own life, and in coaching those of people, is not always as practical as it seems. It's very often we're hiding away from something we're afraid of doing. We're avoiding discomfort. That discomfort can be the hard conversation. It can be asking that person out. It can be putting our services out there. There's that fear of rejection. It can be that we are avoiding making that decision. We're afraid of getting it wrong. But Jung said, find your fear and you will find your task. And I can guarantee that behind some of the things you're avoiding right now is a bit of a fear, it's discomfort. And we're avoiding it. We're using all the logic, we're using all the justifications under the sun, but really it's, man, this is uncomfortable. It seems like a big deal. What if it goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I don't get it right? What if I'm rejected? What if, after that nobody likes me? What if I look stupid? All these what ifs, all these irrational fears, they are stopping us from living the life we can live. And so part 1 of this is dead simple. Write down everything you're putting off, not everything you're afraid of, everything you are putting off. It can be decisions you haven't made, it can be messages you haven't sent, conversations you haven't had, challenges that you haven't started, things you haven't joined, anything that you are putting off right now. Write a big list. And next to each one, write the smallest movement you can make this week. The smallest movement, not the biggest. Some of them it may just be decide, send the message. Some of them it can be dead simple. Some of them are a bit bigger. But take each one, write down the smallest step you can take. Now, here's the deal. Take the 3 most impactful, simplest off that list and make them happen this week. Like, do them now. I often write down, one of my favorite things is to write down all this stuff every morning, all the things I'm avoiding, and think, right, I'm going to act on this now. Send that message, make that decision, do that thing, join there, sign up, email that person. Before you know it, wow, I'm moving. I've done something. Find your fear, you will find your task. In this case, find the things you're putting off, the things you're avoiding, take action on a small version of it, and you will start to build momentum forward. The second one is the courage to face your future. Now, what do I mean by that? I know in my own life, as I've progressed and moved through life, I've often, when I had nothing to lose, it was easy to drive on. It was easy to create goals. It was easy to go, here's where I'm going. As I built up more what I considered in my own life success in my life, be it in our business, be it physically, relationship-wise, as I accumulated more things, 3 kids, etc., all of a sudden, rather than play to win, you find yourself playing not to lose. And that can hold us back, right? The other thing is, when you first start out, people think quite big. But as they make change and progress and improve, we generally start to think smaller about our future. We become more limited. And there's a lot of courage in saying, what do I really want? What is it that I really want to be living like? And we don't often stop and ask that question. We often do what, like I said, when we're in the shit and it's like, oh God, what do I want? I don't want this. But as things become okay, generally people get stuck. Not because they don't know what to do, it's because we're trying to do habits because we think, okay, maybe I should do this stuff for me, but why? What's the bigger picture for my life? And you've got to suspend logic for a minute and have the courage to say, hey, what do I want? Truly want. Now, the trouble is, a lot of us are so afraid of not having what we truly want that we stop even thinking about it. We kid ourselves off that we don't want more or better or different or deeper or whatever word you want. And so we start to just kid ourselves off and shut that thinking down. But if you want to drive forward, you have to start thinking bigger again. So here's something you can do very quickly. Number one, you can write down now, if you had £100 million in the bank, how would you live? It's a Tim Ferriss question. It's a great one. People often think, well, that's, what's the point of asking that? I do have financial requirements. It's not the point. It's to get you thinking bigger. That's the first one. If you couldn't fail at anything this year, what would it be? Like, what would it be? What would you do? How would you spend your time? If you could live the perfect day tomorrow, do anything anywhere, what would it be? Now, ask yourself these questions, journal on them. If you could ask yourself, what would 10x my life look like? I realize that's kind of an arbitrary number, but what would it look like? If there was no limit, ask yourself that question. What if there was no limit to what was possible for me? Because 100% you have made things happen in your life that weren't there before, that didn't exist. You've brought them into reality. Do it again. And you don't have to go and pursue these. You don't have to answer these questions, say, oh my God, I've got some goals now. That's not what it's about. It's opening up your thinking to go, God, how good can it get? The better it gets, the better it gets. So number two is have the courage to think bigger about your future. Face how brilliant it can be. It takes courage to do that and play to win rather than play not to lose. The third one is the courage to face our failures. Now, what do I mean by that? We've all failed. You failed, I failed, we failed at things. My experience is often there's some failures that we've had that start to flavor our future. They start to rob us of possibility because we play a bit smaller because of them. Now, that is a big factor in why we can't think bigger. It's a big factor about our future, a big factor why we struggle to face our fears, why we struggle to do stuff, because we're kind of carrying past failures. That can work in two ways. Maybe you're the person who failed and you said you'd never fail again, and so you burn yourself out getting everything perfect. That's not healthy. Or maybe the person who never failed again and who failed and said, I never want to fail again. And so you stop taking risk. You stop putting yourself out there. Either way, we are human beings who are wired to stay safe. And if we've got this evidence and this stuff which says, that didn't go very well, I don't want to put myself in that position again. We're always using that to predict worst case scenarios, stay safe. But ultimately, our failures, as the cliche quote goes, are our best teachers, right? You don't get better from constantly winning and achieving. You get better from the stuff that doesn't go well. And you can either pull wisdom and lessons and the upgrades and the insights to grow from our failures, or they can become the reason you don't grow. And so a really great thing you can do right now is write down, like, what have I failed at? Even if it doesn't bother you, by the way, this is not a go back to a painful thing. Just write down some things that you failed at. Maybe it was weight loss. Maybe it was sorting your mindset out. Maybe it was business, a relationship. Maybe it was a challenge, a goal, whatever. And think, okay, what can I learn from that looking back now? Ask that question. What can I learn from that? Now I know what would I do differently next time? A great question to ask. Why? Because it's making us the observer, and all of a sudden we're pulling wisdom out. I'd do that differently. A third question you can ask is, how have you grown since then? How did that help you? What opportunities have come up since that setback? And that can just remind you and teach you, oh yeah, it's like, shit, failure isn't the end of the world. Because we avoid failure. But actually, failure is a catalyst for much better things when we can pull the wisdom from it. And so there's three things you can do. You can go do them right now. You can go do the fear task, write something down, take some action. You can go do the think bigger task. And a little thing I'd add there is think bigger about, hey, What would I do if I could do anything? And then take a small action from that, a tiny action, and do it. And all of a sudden, you're moving towards a bigger future. And thirdly, failures, just look back at one and pull the wisdom. And before you know it, if you did every one of those things this week, it would take 10, 15 minutes max, maybe 10 minutes each. And you'd be moving forward, you'd be building courage, and you'd be taking action on the things you know you need to do, but you just don't do them. So if you want more videos like this, don't forget, like, subscribe, whatever the YouTube gods want of you. And as always, below in the comments, there's the Unbreakable quiz. That will give you a personalized action plan based on exactly what you want and how to get there. Fill it in, get moving.